Welcome to Money Confidential. I'm April Boyd, your money coach. I am obsessed with helping single moms in the paycheck to paycheck cycle clear up some debt, build an amazing emergency fund, and create a life of financial freedom that they at one point thought they could only dream of. This is the second segment of our Save Yourself series. If you haven't seen the first one, please go back and watch it. It's called Paying Yourself First. But today we are diving into emergency funds. We're going to talk about the five benefits of having an emergency fund, along with how to calculate your minimum emergency number. If you have ever heard someone tell you you need 6 to 9 months of an emergency fund, and then you're like, well, exactly how much money is that? When you leave here today, you will no longer try to figure that one out. You will walk away with something tangible to figure out your monthly emergency number. First things first, the five things, and I got my notes here because y'all know I can't remember this stuff off the top of my head like that without rambling or forgetting something. So let's start with number one. Number one is peace of mind. When you have an emergency fund, it reduces some financial anxiety and it allows you to be able to sleep peacefully at night, knowing that if something pops off financially, you can afford to cover it. All right. Number two, you avoid debt binges. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was in a lot of debt and something would happen that would frazzle me financially, if even if I was close to paying stuff off, I would just swipe the card for that debt and then I would justify, man, I've already put something on this credit card. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna keep swiping again. Only because I didn't have an emergency fund, it led me down debt binges and sometimes let me in a spot where I had to start all over again. So, having an emergency fund will certainly help you avoid debt binges. Number three, it protects your income. We are living in some seriously uncertain times. And before now, things could have still been uncertain. I'm in a state that's an at will state. They can let you go at any moment. An emergency fund protects you in the event that you lose your job. It gives you the opportunity to be able to still pay your bills without having to panic and worry while you take the time to look for another job or pivot like I did and start a new business. The fourth one is it helps you cover surprise expenses. Maybe you don't lose your job. Maybe your car breaks down, or maybe you have an emergency bill because your child was playing sports and they wanted to do something crazy and now you in the ER. Your emergency fund is there to help you cover those unexpected expenses without having to take out some nasty payday loan with a crazy interest rate or having to rake up a bunch of credit card debt. And the fifth and final benefits of having an emergency fund is it just builds financial confidence. If you knew that you had about 20, 30 grand sitting in the bank and them people at your job was ticking you off, tell me you wouldn't just walk out. Like, tell me it wouldn't give you the confidence to be like, listen, I could walk up out of here, right? So it just builds a certain level of financial confidence that still also allows you to make some smart, long term decisions when you know you got a little bit of money behind you. Now, we're going to talk about what it looks like from two different scenarios. And the budget that you'll see pop up on the screen is May's monthly budget and what it looks like if May actually has a job. All right, so let's walk through this. Now, keep in mind that personal finances are just that, it's personal. And what your money looks like and what somebody else's money looks like would be completely different right along to what your budget looks like. Okay, so right here, what we have is May's highlights. One, May has one source of income. She don't have any side hustles. She doesn't have a business or anything like that. May's making some pretty good money though. She's not making any chump change. She's bringing in $6,500 a month. Okay. She's saving and she's tithing, but she's not investing. She has some debt. She has some subscriptions, but her subscriptions are very low, not enough to be concerned about. And she has a little bit left over at the end of the month. Now, I wouldn't just leave that there. I believe in zero based budgeting. All that means is you got to assign some money somewhere. Like you can't just let money linger off into the ethers, okay? So maybe she needs to use that to pay down some debts, or maybe she needs to use that to help increase her emergency fund, but she got a little bit of money to do something with. Now, May's situation is going to look completely different if she loses her job, okay? So now we have an alternate budget, which breaks down the bare bone things that she would need in the event that she doesn't have a job. First thing first, she's going to have to stop saving and giving because she doesn't have anything to save or give from. She's now working off of her savings if she did what she was supposed to do. If I were May, I would apply for a student loan hardship because if you have zero money coming in, that usually justifies a financial hardship. And oftentimes it will take your balance down to zero. I know this because this is what happened with one of my clients recently. She called and they was able to get her student loan monthly payment down to zero due to a financial hardship. I would cancel all subscriptions. It's not enough to break the bank, but when you're down to bare bones and you don't know where your next paycheck or next source of income is going to come from, the last thing you need is something that you really don't need in your budget, like subscriptions, depending on what the subscription is for. If it's something medically related, then I would keep that in there. It's up to you to decide what you keep and what goes. Next, I would negotiate anything in this budget that I feel like I can negotiate. The first thing I can see is I would negotiate the internet, I would negotiate home security, and the general. Like, I would look at that. Okay, the general says $120, right? What exactly does general mean, and how much can we cut back on that general fund? Maybe we can take it from 120 a month to $60 a month. There are some cut rate cell phone bills out companies out there. Maybe that cell phone bill can be cut in half. And instead of paying 116, maybe the cell phone bill would end up being like $50 or something like that, just depending on what's available on the market. Auto insurance is very tricky. It seems like it always goes up and it never goes down unless you jump company to company. But I would also look at trying to see if I could lower the auto insurance, maybe check the deductibles, check all the things to make sure you're still properly insured, but that it's kind of lowering that monthly bill for you. So that's what I would do in May's case. So now with these two different budgets that we have, one with a job, one without a job, we know that if May cuts some of that stuff out, then she needs $4,740 a month. That's a lot for a bare minimum, but that's what she would need. So if May wants to plan ahead and to ensure that she has enough money, then if she multiplied her monthly emergency number by three, she would end up with $14,220. If she multiplied it by six, she would end up with $28,420. And if she multiplied it by nine, she would end up with $42,660. If you do not currently have an emergency fund and you're starting to work towards one, which I pray that you are, this is where I would start. I would use this and I'll try my best to link this template in case you want to use it or tinker with it. You can always create your own. But I would just start with creating a basic budget. Like, hey, what is it that I actually need to survive in the event that I have no more money coming in? This is where you start. And then when you get that minimum monthly number, that's when you start to multiply so you can start to track what your emergency savings goal is. If you have made it this far in the video, drop a dollar sign or a money bag in the comments for me, whichever one is easiest for you. And let me know if there was a part of this video that stood out to you or if it was even helpful. I know for me, I used to always get annoyed when people said, you need an emergency fund, 6 to 9 months. And I'm like, how do I determine that? Like, do I determine that based on just my monthly budget? When quite frankly, when you take a look at it, you may not need as much as you think you need. And it's a little bit easier to digest when you break it down based on the bare minimum things that you need. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want more, please be sure to subscribe. And I will see you on the next one. Don't forget, we are building financial confidence, not just budgets.